Hey everyone! So today, we're diving into something that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie, but it's totally real. We're talking about a secret World War II project to build artillery shells that were also jet engines. Yeah, you heard that right. It's a wild story of incredible genius, some mind-bending physics, and a mystery that stretches long after the war. Let's get right into it.
So let's start with a crazy question. Could you actually fire a jet engine out of a cannon? I mean, think about it for a second. The unbelievable violence of that explosion, the crushing G-forces, it just sounds impossible, right? Well, what if I told you that back in the 1940s, a team of scientists didn't just think it was possible, they were actually doing it. They were building and testing this stuff, and that right there is the heart of our story.
And look, we're not talking about some dinky little field gun here. Oh no. The plan was to slap this technology onto absolute monsters like this thing. This is the German K5 railway gun, a 218-ton behemoth, a beast designed to hurl massive shells over unbelievable distances. That's the level of ambition we're dealing with. Just insane.
Okay, so where does an idea this crazy even begin? Well, like a lot of these stories, it starts with one person. One brilliant and frankly unbelievably audacious mind. Let me introduce you to Wolf Trommsdorff. Now get this, way back in 1936, we're talking years before the first jet fighters were even a thing, he sends this proposal to the German army. And the idea? Well, it was kind of simple on paper, but absolutely revolutionary in reality. He wanted to build an artillery shell that, after it's fired, lights up its own engine to hit speeds and ranges that were just completely unthinkable at the time. So you got to be asking, how did Trommsdorff even think this was possible? Well, to get it, we have to look at the heart of his invention, the engine itself. And it wasn't some complicated, delicate turbine like you'd see on a 747 today. Nope, he went with something way more elegant and a whole lot tougher. He used a ramjet. A ramjet is basically the simplest jet engine you could ever imagine. Seriously, think of it as just a cleverly shaped metal tube. It has zero moving parts. No spinning turbines, no compressors, nothing. Its genius is its simplicity. It just uses its own crazy fast forward motion to literally ram air into the front, which naturally compresses it. Then you just squirt in some fuel, light it up, and whoosh. Simple, tough, and just perfect for surviving being shot out of a cannon. And this diagram really breaks it down perfectly. Okay, so follow along. The shell is already flying at supersonic speed when air screams into the front, right there at point 1. Then, this specially shaped section called the diffuser slows the air down. And when you slow supersonic air down, its pressure and temperature go through the roof. You can see it right there on the graphs. At point 3, they inject the fuel, it hits that super hot, super compressed air, and boom, instant ignition. That massive explosion of hot gas has only one place to go, out the back. And that, my friends, is how you get insane amounts of thrust at point 5. Okay, sounds simple enough, right? But of course, there was a catch. A big one. See, ramjets only work when they're already moving really fast. And the faster you try to go, the bigger the physics problem you face, right at the very entrance of the engine. This image shows the problem perfectly. When you're blasting through the air at, say, Mach 3 or Mach 4, you get this single violent shockwave that forms right at the intake. It's basically a brick wall for the air. The airflow gets completely disrupted, you lose a ton of pressure, and that just tanks the engine's efficiency. Early ramjet designs were totally crippled by this problem. So the big question was, how do you get around that brick wall? Well, Trommsdorff and his team didn't figure this out in a vacuum. The solution actually came from some really fundamental, cutting-edge research being done by physicists at the Kaiser-Wilhelm-Institut, who were just trying to understand how supersonic airflow even worked. And here it is, the brilliant solution. It's called a multi-shock diffuser. Instead of letting the air smash into that one big brick wall, you use this cone shape at the front to create a whole series of smaller, weaker, angled shockwaves. The best way to think of it is like a set of supersonic speed bumps. Each one slows the air down just a little bit, making the whole process way more gentle, way more controlled, and hugely more efficient. And you don't have to take my word for it, just look at the numbers. This chart is based on their actual research, showing the efficiency at Mach 4. With that one big shockwave, that brick wall, you're getting, maybe 30% efficiency. Pretty terrible. But add just 4 of those speed bumps, and suddenly you're over 80% efficient. With 9 of them, you're getting close to 95%. This was the breakthrough. This was the key that unlocked the entire idea. So, with the physics problem finally cracked, Trommsdorff's project just exploded. It went into total overdrive. They started designing an entire family of these ramjet projectiles, and each new design was even more wild than the last. You can literally see the evolution of the idea right here. On the left, you've got these different shell designs getting bigger and more powerful as they go, and then on the right, that's the C3 ramjet unit, the one designed specifically for that monster K5 railway gun we saw at the beginning. And I want to be clear, this wasn't just stuff on the drawing board. This was real hardware being built and tested. And the performance stats? I mean, they're just mind-blowing for the 1940s. The C1 projectile, it could hit nearly 1,500 meters per second. That's over a Mach 4, and fly 200 kilometers. Then you get to the big one, the C3. It could accelerate to over 1,800 meters per second and had a theoretical range of 350 kilometers. To put that in perspective, that's like firing an artillery shell from London and having it land in Paris. It's just unbelievable.
But here's the thing. As incredible as these cannon shells were, they were just the beginning. They were just a proof of concept. Trommsdorff's ultimate goal was way, way bigger. We're talking global.
This was the endgame, the D6000 project. This was a proposed two-stage intercontinental cruise missile. So the idea was a bomber would carry it up high, drop it, then a rocket booster would kick in and get it up to supersonic speed, and only then would its massive ramjet engine ignite and just push it across entire ocean.
And the range they were aiming for? 6,000 kilometers. Let that sink in. This was a weapon being designed in the early 1940s that could cross the Atlantic Ocean. It was a piece of technology that was, without exaggeration, decades ahead of its time. But then, the war comes to an end. The Allied and Soviet forces sweep in, and all this incredible technology gets captured. And this is where the story takes a weird turn. The story of Wolf Trommsdorff himself gets completely lost in the fog of what would become the Cold War.
For a long time, the accepted story was that Trommsdorff died in a plane crash right as the war was ending. Case closed. But then you have this quote from a 1946 aviation magazine, and it says, point blank, the version about the death of Trommsdorff does not correspond to reality. It goes on to say he was actually in Soviet captivity and had just gotten back. And there's a paper trail to back this up. We have this document from a Soviet Technical Commission in 1946. And look what's on the list of captured rocket tech. The Trommsdorff Geschoss, the Trommsdorff projectile. So the Soviets absolutely knew what they had found, and it's pretty clear they probably had the guy who invented it too. And then, poof, the trail just goes completely cold. In 1955, this little book about ramjets pops up in Germany, and the author is Wolf Trommsdorff. Apparently, he gave a lecture around the same time, and after that, absolute silence. Nothing. The genius who dreamed up the jet-powered cannonball just disappears from history. We have no idea what else he worked on or what happened to him. He's just gone. So that leaves us with this one big question to chew on. You know, the story of the ramjet projectile is this incredible piece of lost science for sure. But it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other revolutionary ideas like this are just sitting in some dusty old archive, completely forgotten? How much of the technology that defines our world today, from the way we fly to how we explore space, actually started out as one of these secret, forgotten projects, born in the chaos of war?